All right, at 6 o'clock, I call this meeting to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up is approval of the agenda.
I'll move for the approval of the agenda for August 26, 2025.
Second.
And moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of the agenda, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. And it is approved. Next up is the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion, questions, comments?
I have one question on accounts payable. Ted's Tree Service, emergency hours, stump grinding and trimming.
Yeah, $3,000. That was, it was only a few hours worth of work, but it was an emergency call after they were getting washed out on, I think, Gillett Road. But yeah, it was like all of a sudden, and things were getting washed out, and they needed to act, as I understand it.
Okay, I just wondered
It was
what.
before my time, but believe me, I caught that one too. $3,006, a few hours of work.
I just wondered why we were, grinding a stump.
I looked
Yeah,
at how much a stump
emergency
grinder
hours.
was.
Pardon me?
We get a stump grinder for $1,500. That was my next search.
Okay, that's all I have, thank you.
I had a question on page 2 of 3 of the payables. What is Hart Intercivic? I assume that's something to do with the playhouse?
No, that's
No?
the election equipment.
Oh, okay, got it. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Verity.
Yes.
Anyone else? All those in favor of the consent agenda, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. We have a consent agenda. Next up is messages. City manager.
Okay, yeah, I put a few things on here as reminders to me that I thought pertinent to bring to the council's attention. The first one is the staircase near Hanson Hill. It goes down that hill. I understand a few years ago it was taken out by a motorist. Anyway, the runoff from the parking lot is undermining that staircase, and it's going to be a pretty expensive fix. That I'm yet to receive the budget back from Plant Moran. Again, I would make an amendment or I would request to make an amendment depending on how much the bids come in at. But downside of not having treasurer right now is that I don't even have a good visibility of what the budget was approved as. So I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball on that, but immediately I'm going to request an amendment so we can cover whatever the cost that is, because it's severely undermined, and I think it might have to be taken out and moved to be able to fill in what's missing. It's washing out pretty bad.
Is the parking lot not draining, or is there not a drain for that, or?
It's
How
it's
would
not
it be?
routed correctly. I don't know who designed it. I can't speak to that. I just know where the water's going now. It's right underneath. It's right underneath that staircase.
Okay.
So yeah, we're getting bids because I think it's a dire issue, or we're going to lose that whole structure, and it'll be unsafe.
Gosh, that's only a couple of years old, isn't it? A few years old?
It looks new.
Portion of it, the one where the gentleman with the OWI decided to do the Dukes of Hazzard
You had to
over.
replace about 3/4 of it.
Yeah, he did the Dukes of Hazzard over the hill. So. You don't remember that?
Yes.
Dan, one thing we might want to look at is, given that we are getting larger amounts of rain in shorter amounts of time is how that might be affecting our infrastructure. And one thing we might wanna consider doing to that hill, turf grass has very short roots. So that's part of the problem, is it's a steep slope, turf grass, you know, has very short roots, and we're probably gonna, even if we reroute it, we could probably still have some problems with some of these really, fast and furious rainstorms. But I wonder if we could check with the conservation district about, some different types of
Okay.
vegetation that would hold the dirt more. So, as part of the fix anyway.
Yeah, and the part that's being undermined the most, there's no grass. It was just like the fill that they dug up. And then no grass was planted, and it's just continually creating a valley.
My feeling there is that it was a poor design on Pry Newhoff's part that allowed that water to run where it's running. And I think we should be going back to Pry Newhoff and saying, you know, this is your poor design that caused this. And you should be offering some sort of, at least free engineering how to fix the problem.
Okay. Yeah, that works for me.
Because it's been a problem ever since they put that concrete there. It started washing out with the first rain.
Oh,
And
okay.
I pointed it out numerous times, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. I don't have the historical knowledge
Yeah.
on it, so I
I
can
understand.
reach back.
Okay.
The 708 South Division Street. Before I move forward with a course of action, I wanted to get the council's appetite for different possibilities. One, we could let it be and let the land bank get to the rehab on their timeline. They did explain that they had they came in, they got grant money for $2.5 million that prioritized a certain type of build versus the one that they own in Whitehall. The second is to purchase it and demo it, and then sell the property. I don't really have an opinion on that. The other one is to repurchase it from the land bank, which would be the back taxes. I'm guessing no more than $5 to $7 grand, and then we contract to rehab it. There's a lot of different factors that are going to go into that. Generally speaking, if you take a house down to studs, it's going to be about $150 a square foot, and that's with new electrical, plumbing, HVAC, and it could go up, could go down. It could go up if the HVAC's still good, or we can salvage some of the electrical, but the price could skyrocket if we have to deal with asbestos abatement and mold issues. So it's a gamble. I'm by no means asking to vote on any of those right now because it's not a fully developed plan, any of them. But I do want to get a sense of what you're all thinking in regards to this particular place. It has been boarded up. They sent their company over to board it up, and they mowed the grass. So that's how it sits right now.
I've been in the house and to me, it's a tear down. Right? To fix that house, I know we're lacking on places for people to live, but I would say, just from stuff that I've done myself over the years, to make that house even just livable would probably cost at least $100 grand.
Oh yeah.
Probably between 100 and 150 grand. And I mean, that house completely redone for the size that it is probably only worth $200,000 in today's market anyway.
Correct. That's your math is the same as mine. So it is a risk, and it's a project I have some background on, but Yeah, it could be 150. And the benefit is the taking care of the blight of the neighborhood. You know, like I don't think we should let things like this fester. But I also understand that it's a risk that we're taking with the general fund. Probably about $150,000 risk.
What does the tear down cost?
That I don't know.
I could get we can probably get that tear down done pretty easy as a fire department training. Past. We do it all the time. And that structure is not close enough to any structures where that would be an issue, I don't think.
You talking about the right one? No, I'm talking about the one that had the big boat.
You're talking about Burns, right?
No.
No?
No,
Second,
second house from the corner, what is that, Lincoln and, Lincoln and.
Oh, okay, yeah, that would work.
it's the yellow house next to the house with the big Trump sign.
Okay, yep, so almost to the corner.
Okay.
Okay, I know where you're at.
Shed barn.
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
back.
that probably wouldn't work for that. It's too
That's
close.
probably only, I'd say 15 feet away from the fence and then maybe
Yeah,
another
yeah,
15 feet
that's
away from another house.
Yeah, that's too close. The exposure's too close for that.
I can get cost on tear down.
Yes.
But roughly
Only
speaking, it's about
30,000.
150 grand investment by the city to rehab it. I'll work on the demo, but the demo, we'd have to purchase it from the land bank first for probably 5 to 7 grand, then pay for demo cost. And then we're into it for maybe 20,000 or 25,000.
Not a big enough lot to split, is it?
No.
I'm guessing if we tear it down, it's, to put a new house in there, it's not gonna meet our new setbacks, modern setbacks.
So it's not a very big lot.
It's not a big lot. So that's something to consider too.
Yeah, I'd have to go look it up. I was,
You know, I mean, if you tear it down and you can't, and it's so small that
I think,
they can't build on it.
I think they're all, I think even there, they're, the standard, what is it, is it 90 by 165 or 60 by 165, something like that.
But it's something that definitely needs further looking at.
All right, so demo cost and then complete rehab cost. Rehab cost is about 150. I can speak to that pretty obviously.
I wouldn't accept that number, yes.
I'll look at the demo cost and I'll send that out to everybody.
Is there a way to get access with someone knowledgeable about the asbestos type
Yeah, I'll
situations
bring-
before?
Bob Tufts with me, see if he'll come in there with me.
Give it a house build, I almost guarantee that it has it in it, some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it's an old house.
Yeah.
Another issue is just how much time would it take of yours or anybody else in the city? That might factor into it
It's
too.
hiring a contractor. I'd like to hire a Whitehall general contractor and they can manage it and it just me staying on top of that. So that part's doable. I'm pretty confident in that. It's just the unknowns that make it worse. The asbestos and possible mold.
Yeah.
And then are you saying if we tear it down, nobody can even build on it?
I don't know. It's something to look at to see what the lot size is and.
Chris would be able to help
Yes.
with that.
Yeah, all right. I'll go with Chris, so I owe you some information on the demo cost and who can build, and I'll ask the land bank if I can access it to see about asbestos and mold. Those kits are pretty cheap. Okay. All right, and the third item I wanted to get, again, we're not making a decision on it or anything. I just want to float the idea of updating the election cycle, because right now we have to have an odd year election in November. So right now the only thing on the ballot is local stuff. If we get on the even year cycle, then we're combining it, and it's a lot less staff work and costs. So that's what brought up the idea of, I just look at inefficiencies and how we can correct them. So correcting this inefficiency would require us to extend or shorten the term that's coming up. So the terms that start in November and that would be up in 27 would have to be offset somehow, which we're either going to add a year or shorten by a year each term. Montague did it a few years back, and they extended terms. So we have to be clear on the resolution to, if anyone's going to go with their term limit, then we cover that and the purpose of it. So I wanted to get this resolution talked about and possibly passed before the election, so it appears apolitical. I don't want it to seem like it's a political thing, trying to extend somebody's term or shorten it.
It would also save the city a considerable amount of money by eliminating one election cycle.
And that's a potential, right? Because there are other things that would come on those odd years that we don't have control over. We would have to have the election anyway, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Like for this one, sorry, we'll have council obviously on there, and then there's a school proposal on there as well. So there's any odd year, there could be any kind of special election, whether it be, museum, school, whatever, any kind of proposal. But I think Montague is going to have a break for this November, last I heard, so it's potential. For me, it's like about $2,000 per election. That's just cost of election workers and stamps, mail-in costs. But there's a lot of time.
So if there's one thing or 5 things on the ballot, it
Costs the
same.
Yep.
And takes the same time.
Yep, sure does. The biggest increase is now with the permanent ballots and the amount of time that I have to prep for that. And we have a lot of them, so that's,
The absentee ballots, you mean?
yes, absentee ballots, permanent ballots that are, you mail them regardless of whether, a lot of people are on that list now.
Okay.
So is this something we should explore?
I'm not opposed to it.
I think so.
Certainly worth discussion.
Yeah, I mean, we have the, May and August elections too, but, sometimes we just time it where we just don't have anything. And this is the circle of influence versus circle of concern. I can be concerned that there's other votes that are gonna come up, but I can influence this one.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the one that the council has arms around. So if we're looking at ways of cutting costs, this is a simple one.
So then the next step would be for you to prepare a proposed resolution.
Right, and I'd like to give it at least 2 iterations of like a month of public comment, make sure everyone has a chance to comment on something like this, because we are, adding a year on tenure, and some people are gonna go over the term limit too.
So
We're gonna need to look to the charter, it's in the charter that it's odd numbered years is when the elections are. I don't know, I'd have to look at if we can do that without doing a charter amendment. I don't know if this was put in
No,
there.
that, I did look into that, and there's a state law that allows you to do that.
Okay, that's what I was
By
thinking.
resolution.
Yeah, okay, all right,
Yeah,
good.
it's by resolution.
I was surprised at that too, Will.
Yeah, I know, that's what I knew there was something like that, but I
Mhm.
Because
wasn't.
we changed that, if I remember right, we changed that a while back, because it used to be the first 2 got 4, and the other 2 or 1 got 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that all changed back, and I thought that was
Everybody gets
I thought that was a charter change, wasn't
That
it,
it
back when
was,
we did
it
that?
was when the mayor
It's when,
was,
It
Yeah.
it
was
changed when
broken off.
we went to election.
yeah,
Right.
because we dropped that off, yeah, I remember that, so,
That's when we should have done it,
yeah.
but here we are.
Yeah.
So if there's a special election, like for the library or the school or the fire or something like that, then they have to pay for that, right?
That's correct. Mhm.
If they're the only thing on there. or
Right.
if they're- Okay, so as it is now, if they wanna get on the ballot, or when the city council is elected, they don't have to pay at all.
That's correct, we pay for that one.
We pay.
So that would be the advantage for us, is that going on even years, we
Yeah.
wouldn't have that cost. So, well, actually, we still pay for some of those elections. state election.
State,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Thank you.
So, yeah,
Okay, I'll start drafting a resolution and, have for the next working group. Works.
Right.
Yep.
All right.
Anything else you have?
No, sir.
Steve, anything tonight?
Nope, I don't have anything tonight.
Yeah.
I see one of our police showed up to the meeting. I have a question.
Sure.
Corner of Lewis and Warner. There's a pickup truck sitting there for sale, and you have to pull almost all the way out into the intersection to run around it. And it's been there, my wife just asked me this right before I came, just threw it at me, so. But, you know, she said you gotta almost be out in the middle of the intersection before you can, I mean, it's sitting right in the yard on the corner.
Yeah, I know the location. I remember going by today. We can take a look at it.
You know, if they could just move it a few feet or something like that, it
Sure.
would probably be sufficient.
But she would have been turning off of you said Lewis.
Yep.
Yeah.
She was on Lewis turning on Warner.
Okay. Yeah, we can take a look at it.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Jeff, a couple things. Our illustrious trailer on the Warner Street is no longer there.
Right now.
Not right now, yeah. I don't know for how long, but it's gone.
Which one?
The
The one with the car on it?
No, that was there and gone.
Okay.
And yeah, I think it replaced the other one for a little while.
Right.
Honestly, I don't know. The other thing, in my travels, I've noticed that we have, especially on the weekends, several people that enjoy parking their trailers in the overflow lot at Goodrich Park. I looked, there is no signage down there. It'd be nice if we could order a sign or two that says, no boat trailers, and also put no camping on it. Might as well, while we've got it, and stick it there so we can enforce it.
No overnight parking? Is that-
Yeah, or no camping, no trailers, because people are either leaving their vehicle with a boat trailer attached, now that we have added the center area, or they just leave their boat trailers there as storage. And I'm not keen on that whatsoever, so.
There's a boat trailer down on Lake Street, sitting in front of somebody's house. It's sticking a foot and a half out into the road.
Yeah,
Been there for 2 weeks.
the goodies.
Oh, okay. Nice. So yeah, that's, if we could work on signage, that would be outstanding. And that's all I have, sir.
Tom?
I was out today and I stopped at the west end of Funnel Field to use the bathroom. And the faucet in there is not even attached to the sink. You know, there's supposed to be a nut to hold it in place. So it'll just pull up and down like that. You have to use 2 hands to turn the water on, one to hold the faucet and one to turn the knob or whatever. And then I tried to get a drink and the fountain has no water in it. It doesn't work. And so then I started, out of curiosity, I went down to the other end, and that bathroom is locked, which I expected because that's been closed for how long? A couple of years, 3 years?
The only one replaced.
Yeah. And the drinking fountain there has water in it, but it goes shh, about 4 feet up. And you can't control it. So I don't know, how often do they check on stuff like this? Do they ever check on it? And one thought that occurred to me, I asked Tanya what it costs to put in a motion activated light switch in the bathrooms, because they've got, you know, somebody could go in the morning and turn it on and it would be on until nighttime. I guess they close it up and they lock it at night, I think. Might be worth looking into. That's all I had.
Find a dandy deer sitting on the toilet
When
and
it goes off.
That's an idea too. You know, I
Yeah.
hadn't thought of that.
we got a waiver.
I have nothing tonight.
We're all up to you.
Okay. Maybe forget what I was gonna say.
Say it to the microphone.
Yes, talk to the microphone, Evan. You might wonder why Tom said, I asked Tanya, because like, why would you ask Tanya about this? And I asked him, why are you asking me about that? And he's like, because of the energy efficiency aspects. I'm like, okay, now I get it. Which reminds me, Dan, that I need to get you that full report, or maybe Brenda can get it too. We talked about that before. The energy efficiency items for measures for the 3 different buildings.
Yep.
So maybe that includes the light for the women's restroom at Goodrich as well. I know you guys haven't been in there, but it's pretty dark. So, kind of want to build on what Scott mentioned about visibility. I was coming out of the bank, and I think it's great that we have on-street parking, but when you come out and you're trying to turn, the speed limit, folks are kind of speeding down there. I about got sideswiped a couple of times because you can't see. It's a visibility, and I hate to take away parking, but I wonder if maybe we do need to take one away to be able to get out of there. Maybe that was just me, but I kept inching out, and someone's like, whoosh, I think they were all going to fetch for Tommy Foster. Maybe that was you, Mary.
It wasn't me.
But that's just something to consider. And then I just wondered if we could occasionally put something in our newsletter or our social media about slowing down. That was the other thing. These people were like, they were moving fast, and they were heading right to our downtown. I noticed also somebody about sideswiped a person turning. You know how when you turn right, you're kind of supposed to let the walkers go instead of running them over. And then coming down Colby, people just kind of bumper to bumper racing. I just don't think they realize that this is a downtown, and there's a speed limit, and maybe we need that device up there again. You think, Brandon?
We have one right now. We're working with the state to get the correct permissions to put it up.
Okay.
Permanent one on Colby Street.
Oh, good.
Yeah, right across from City Hall. But it does take a bit with state permitting.
Oh, okay. And it just seems like, too, Muskegon wide, I'm seeing a whole lot of accidents. People are just moving fast, and it just feels a little dangerous. And then one other thing, I am happy to note that we are going to have 2 senior dinners, thanks to the senior center, free for seniors. So, I don't know, Dan, you're going to have to pay, I guess.
It's fine.
And maybe some council members. But it's free for every City of Whitehall senior citizen. How cool is that? And the first one's going to be October 20th. I believe it's a Monday. It'll be over at the Senior Center. And then there will be one in March. And so we'll probably need to get these dates into the newsletter. But I was very happy to work with Christy Marsh. She's been really wonderful on it. So I'm kind of excited to see all the seniors there.
What are we considering senior? 60, 62, 65?
44.
I know you're not a senior. I know you're not a senior, Scott, so don't worry. You'll have to pay.
Yeah, right.
I just
You know
wanted an
what?
answer.
I knew you were gonna ask me that question. I think
I thought Christie said 60.
I thought you did.
it's different every place, but I think you're right, and I can check on that. I doubt she's gonna be checking your IDs.
No, people are they're gonna ask.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
somebody that's 61 is gonna wanna know,
Yeah.
if they can go and get a free meal.
Well, with a bunch of old folks, right? No, but I'm excited about this. I like the idea of providing that companionship for our seniors, including myself. So, and I think too, it will bring them in to let them see what the senior center is and see some of the services that they offer. So,
How's that gonna be advertised?
well, I think we can do a news release.
Yep.
I My bad, I let the September date go. It's been a busy summer, but she had first proposed September. And then when I circled back to her, she's looking at October, and then in March, we're trying to look at what year, is covered by the money. And so I'll get the dates, and I'll write up a little news release, Brenda, for the city to send out. I mean, I've written them forever. And a little blurb for the newsletter, and a couple little blurbs for social media. So, but yeah, I would like to, circling back 1 minute, like to see us saying on social media, could you slow down, please? But thank you.
Okay. I'd like to read a text that I received from one of our citizens. And it says, I stopped at City Hall to get some paperwork from the city clerk, Brenda Bourdon. I must say Brenda is one of the most helpful, gracious people I've had the pleasure of meeting in a very long time. In addition to doing her job well, she projects a very positive, welcoming image of the community to which new walk-ins such as myself. She's a keeper.
Aww. Thank you for sharing that.
Very, very grateful for your service to this community.
Thank you.
All right, with that, public comment. Anyone wishing to make a public comment, please step up to the podium, give your name.
I didn't come here to gripe. My name is Mary Jo Stewart. I've been in this area for 47 years in the same house. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Well, I already talked to one officer about it. I didn't talk to you yet. But I live over by the elementary school. I live on Gibb Street. So school starts up, and the people that come to drop off their kids, they're on Market Street, they're on Livingston, they're on Division, and they just line up. And if you just happen to turn left off of Gibbs and go in that direction, they're lined all the way up down to my street. And if you don't know what's going on, you're sitting there. I watched a guy, he had to go to a construction site, and he was just sitting there. And then finally he realized, oh, they're not going to move because they weren't, because they were waiting to drop off. But every one of those streets is full like that. And then, because the people go through and they drop off. But the parking lot is empty, pretty much. It's not filled up. And I just don't understand why they can't just pull in, stop in the parking lot, let their kid out, walk them up to the school, instead of, to me it's a traffic concern, it really is. And the other police officer I talked to, he's now retired, he was very nice. He said we haven't been able to figure it out. So I mean, if I want to go to Muskegon, I gotta go over to Colby, which I can do, but I just feel like it's a hazard. And you talk about people driving fast, holy cow. Yeah, so yeah, I'm concerned about the kids, but I'm also concerned about accidents in that area. And then when there's soccer games and whatnot, they're all around Unbenston, because God forbid that you park in the parking lot and have to walk around, and that's my complaint. But on the positive note, I want to say thank you to Mayor Steve and the rest of y'all for allowing us to get together on Monday nights for our social time. That's the one time that Montague and Whitehall come together. They'll never come together during sports. That'll never happen, ever. And but Monday nights is really a good night. We really have a fun time together. People don't get drunk. I had one beer last night. That was it. We dance in the street, don't we, Kamala? Yep.
I see you.
I called you Kamala. That's not your name.
You call me what?
Tanya. I probably meant to call you Kabbalah. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, we dance in the street, and I don't know why I said that. It's kind of like a combination of your name.
It's okay. I was going to say, I've seen you dance. I haven't seen me dance.
But anyway, people bring their dogs. We have a good time, and it's well worth having. And I hope we can continue that next year.
Well, there's one more, isn't there?
Yes.
Yes, that will be our last one.
And if you see one, you're not gonna see the same show, are you,
No,
Mary Jo? You're
no.
gonna see a different show.
No, we
depending
had
on-
quite a Celtic showdown last night. I was surprised that Scott didn't wear his kilt, or Tommy. I said, where's your skirt? Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to go first?
No,
Okay.
no, I'm just, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Billy. I live in Whitehall. I'm here today on behalf of White Lake Association. I'm here to thank the City of Whitehall for their generous donation to our smart buoy. For those of you that aren't aware of it, it is the coolest thing. All you need to do is go on your browser, look at White Lake Association, first page. You hit the smart buoy. Right now, it is 73 degrees on the water on White Lake. It tells you the temperature from 5 feet down to 60 feet, 61 degrees down 60 feet below in the water. We get these figures updated every 10 minutes. The blue-green algae, there haven't been any all year. Great news. It's always there for you to see. There's wind speed, air temperature at 64 degrees. So it's just a cool thing, and thank you for helping us open it up for everyone.
thank you.
Yeah.
It is a very cool thing. I'm very grateful for the people that are making it happen.
Well, I think everybody here knows me, but it's Jerry Rowe. I live in the city of Whitehall. I'm going to offer an educated opinion. I didn't realize what house we were talking about. I thought it was another place. That house, excuse me, on the southwest corner of Division at Lincoln next to the Brown residence is not rehabable. You could not rehab that, and I'll tell you why. The previous residents let cats do as they wished in there. So not only are you going to be gutting, stripping walls, all the floors down to the subfloors are going to need to be taken out of it. At what you're looking at I would never bid that house. Any intelligent contractor would never bid that house. I'll give you a rough estimate, but it's going to be time and materials. The best thing that could happen is a backhoe and a couple of dumpsters. So if you can get it cheap enough to turn over the lot after the demolition's done, go for it. But it would be a huge mistake. Because I inspected it. I went through that entire house when the guys were emptying the trash out. And I would not go back in there again without a hazmat suit. Have you been in there, Jeff?
No, I haven't. But you saying that, it brings up memories.
Yeah, I'm sure. It just,
I told you.
anyhow, I just thought I'd mention that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none. Next is old business. I don't believe we have any old business to conduct, so we'll go to new business. Ordinance 2501, deer control.
I will move ordinance 2501, deer control.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
If I may.
Yes, please.
Couple things. The first one is I don't see Lewis and Peterson on there, which had been discussed prior. I don't know why that didn't make it on there. We talked about doing a Saturday, Sunday on there only so our DPW crews could be safer. It is a substantial lot. It's, I think it was 6 acres or something like that. That's quite honestly the spot that I want because that's where the majority of the deer move through. That's a good spot, and we're missing out by not using it. The other thing, looking at some of these maps, we're a little shy on the funnel field area. We own all the way down to the bottom of that gully, and that little blip that they put in there, I know they're trying to stay maybe 150 foot away from the building. I understand that. That brings me to my second thing, the 150 from any property line. I don't know where that popped up or whose idea that was, but that's. Yeah. So funnel field, it actually, if you look, it goes down to the gully, and if you look on Onyx or any other map, it shows you where our property was. I mean, essentially, you could put a 150 marker around the building there and call it good. Again, our job is, or the reason behind this is to try to harvest deer, and the spot that you gave the people there, good luck. Quite honestly, it's poor. And then, like I said, the 150 from any property line, like I said, I don't know where that came from. I don't think it's necessary. You could sit on a property line and shoot in all day and not have any issues. Shooting over a property line, yeah, that's probably not a good thing, but having 150 feet from any property line is gonna really limit. The building in public street, I concur with that, I think that's a great idea. The elevated stand, that's no different than what, and shooting 150 feet with a bow, are silly, as far as I'm concerned, but I don't think you can get that with a crossbow nowadays. Looking at the other spots, Mill Pond Trail is gonna be sketchy as far as even harvestable. Like I said, Funnel Field and the DPW are two good spots. And like I said, I think we should include Lewis and Peterson in that location. I looked at some of our other properties today. Yeah, as far as getting people to them, like off of Warner Street there, that little spot back in there, there are deer back there, but I don't think it would be real easy to get back to. I see Mark in here somewhere. Get back behind your house there, I don't think would be real easy. And I think you're still, even when you plug in the 150 from a house on that one, yeah, you're really gonna be limited. So I think that was a good move on that one. So, yeah, I'd like to see the 150 taken out, not the 150, yeah, the 150
Property?
for the property line out, everything else 150 can stay. And then we need to add that Peterson and Lewis spot. And like I said, if we wanna make it weekends only, so we're not worried about the DPW guys, but again, it's no different than any other spot, so.
Is the 150 from a property line, isn't that a state?
Buildings,
No.
buildings and roadways.
Okay.
I don't know if that's even right with a bow. I
Yeah.
think that's for a
It's
gun.
just-
I think that's for rifle,
It's
yeah,
150 yards anyway.
Yeah, with a
gun,
rifle,
450 feet.
yeah.
But
So
there
150, I mean,
there
it's-
is
it's-
no rule on
No, there's not, but that's a pretty safe, as far as I'm concerned, a safety thing, that I concur with that, but just not property lines.
I think that we ought to be able to put that 7 acres directly south of Home Credit Union as a piece too that could be used.
It's been purchased. I think if the one in Industrial Park, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, but that's not part of their purchase. They purchased 26 acres that starts
Oh,
on the
you're
next
talking-
property line to the south, to the north.
So you're talking right by the trail there? I think that's the
Yeah.
one spot that they didn't buy, yeah.
Right, there is a piece there.
There's a little
It's
piece there.
it's like 7 acres that is not bought by anybody. The
Yeah.
26 acres starts further to the north and goes all the way around the curve.
Yep, I missed that one, you're right. That would be another spot that would be good.
You know, if you had the property line thing in there, you could hunt that. But if you had 150 feet from the property line, well, you'd have the school, which would be the school property to the east, and then you'd have the road. But if you didn't have to worry about the property line like you suggested, then you could hunt back in there.
Yeah,
The
just
school
shoot-
doesn't use that
Just shoot the other direction.
woods
Yeah,
back in
that's-
there anyway.
yeah.
So with all these different things that you're throwing out, should this be tabled?
Scott, I would just.
Because-
Sorry, I was going to.
If we voted on it now, then we'd have to amend it again, wouldn't we?
Right, what I'd like to see is maybe Steve and Jeff put your heads together and put together the changes you think, because you're obviously the most knowledgeable in this aspect, and put together something and run it by Dan and then make sure we're within the
So-
legal limits of everything, and then send back another draft. That's kind of what I'd like to see. Yeah, someone else have?
I would agree with that, yeah.
Except I shouldn't say Helmet Credit Union, I just can't get over it.
It's Harbor Lake, Harbor Lake. Yes.
We knew what that was.
Everybody knows.
I have to call you out on that, I'm on board. Okay, so at this point,
So we have to read.
I would ask for the motion to be
I'll withdraw.
withdrawn.
Yep.
And the second withdrawn,
Yes.
okay.
I just want to make sure we have a clear step forward. So we're going to work directly with Jeff and Steve
Yeah,
on the
yes,
language, so we get it right
Yes.
the next time.
Yes.
yeah.
All right.
So then the drawing was scheduled for, here,
Yeah,
we have to move that then too, I
well, this one is, that's kind of a little sketchy there, because this one is actually, if we would have passed it tonight, it would have actually been adopted past that date that the drawing would have happened, so the drawing would have had to have happened immediately after this was adopted.
Because October
So-
1st is opening day of both
Right,
seasons.
so we'll, I'd almost like to put some kind of language in there to accommodate for this year, that when we adopt it, once it's adopted, and then going forward,
Yeah.
that second Monday in September is fine. I think, unless you think we're gonna need more time to, once we do the
I mean,
lottery.
quite honestly, to let the guys know or let the hunters know.
Right, once we
um,
post it,
won't,
yeah, it won't take long.
No, because like I said, I've already had people ask, when are you guys doing this? So,
It's a long bow season.
and it's a long bow season. It goes to, the end of January now or something. They keep
Yeah.
extending it out farther and farther, so.
I'm fine with taking a little extra time and pushing this out to get this, right to where it's the best thing for the hunters and for the city. So. All right, so we're clear on that. So I'll leave it to the three of you to work out what time schedule. And
Yep.
I'm guessing this will show up again at the next council meeting. That would be
Makes sense to me.
Okay, thank you. Next is the resolution 2524 social district common area expansion.
I'll move resolution 2425 social district common area expansion.
I'll second that.
It's been moved in second. Is there any discussion?
Just for simplifying this, looking at, if you guys all look at your map a second, I just drew a couple little lines just to make it more of a square, make it easier instead of chopped up. I think if we went all the way up First Street, which is the first little red pin on the left-hand side, we're under Fetch Brewing. We ran up First Street and made it attached to that yellow piece there, and then just that one little piece over here, which is essentially sidewalk next to Bell's. Just make that to the other little purple section and we'd be squared off, and I think it'll be easier for everybody to know where to go and what to think.
Is there a reason that parking lots are not part of it, or are they?
I don't think they're supposed to be. Is there something about that, Will? Do you know?
Yeah, they're not normally included. It's like where you're gonna sit and drink, walk through.
Normally you wouldn't sit in the parking lot and drink, but
Well, but you could walk
You-
through the
yes.
parking lot
Yeah.
with,
according to the
Beverage.
state law, anywhere within the social district you can transport.
okay,
It's the common area where you're allowed to consume.
sit down and consume or whatever, yeah.
You could walk across the parking lot with that beverage. You just can't drink it while you're walking across.
Yeah, just so the signage is good, you know?
Well,
People get confused about this.
I would like to see us do kind of what Montague's done. They've got an actual sign up that has a, like, that would be this picture saying this is where it's at.
Yeah,
They have signs in with their area, and they've had where they painted a blue line on the curb.
The other thing I saw the other day, not to interrupt, but
Yes.
The Irish Fest has, I don't know where they got them. They're about square, 2 foot by 2 foot, and they advertise in the Irish Fest. A lot of businesses downtown have them. They're attached to the concrete. And I got thinking about this, and I'm going 2 foot by 2 foot, end social district, begin social district, whatever. attach the, if it comes off in a year, I mean,
Like a curb or what?
it's actually, it almost looks like it has, it's texture too, so, and it's an advertisement and they're so square and they just glue them down in front of the businesses down there.
Yeah, they're just like
Yeah.
sticker.
Yeah,
Big
yeah, it's
sticker.
like a big concrete sticker. And, I mean, people have trouble seeing them up there. Either we cut those signs down where they can actually see, or we put that on the concrete. Wouldn't hurt. I mean, if they get peeled up and when we plow the sidewalks, I mean, they can't be that much. Because there's a bunch of restaurants downtown that have them, so.
All right, is there any further discussion on this?
As I said before, and I'll say it again, I'm not real fond of the pocket park being included in this. I think it's too secluded of an area, so. Just my 2 cents worth.
Did we want to, what was the thing
So-
on first to square that off? Anybody else in that, I like that idea or not like that idea?
I'm fine with that. I mean, for,
Might as well. Might make it easier.
So then the,
Can you amend your motion?
yeah, either needs to be amended or taken off and reworked.
Yeah, you could just amend it.
yeah,
I don't know
amended
who
to
made the
include the,
I'll amend it to
Jeff.
include First Street to the Sledding Hill deck, maybe? I don't know what I want to call it. And then the one little portion from the back of the pocket park to the sidewalk of Hanson Hill. I want to get that right.
so,
I'll second that.
is,
I want to see his drawing so I can
Yeah.
make sure that
let's,
that I
yeah.
reflect it.
I want everybody to make sure we're
Thank you.
on the same page here.
Mhm. I'm visual.
I know.
Yes, thank you.
So
Where's
my
your
black
drawing? Oh.
scribble, so essentially from here to here, and then just that little blip.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
That's not what I thought you were saying. Okay, thank you.
So maybe you better pass that, just quickly.
Yes, that would be great.
I can manage that.
So if we do this, especially that sidewalk,
I was understanding, yeah, it makes sense for me.
I don't need to see it because I'm
You're voting no
I'm
anyway.
voting no anyhow, so.
So I'll be here, John. Right. First Street.
There's really only one place where you can stay in the middle of the street and drink, and that's where you cross.
Essentially that little blip.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't have it there.
I'm thinking not.
Well, you still wanna, yeah, you can't
Other rules
drink
apply.
it. Yeah, other rules apply. You can't be drinking in the middle of the street.
if we do this expansion, especially the sidewalk over there by Hanson Hill and the one extending it down along Bell's, is that going to be enforced?
I mean, that's not, I mean,
Well,
it's
I guess I'm
supposed to be
asking-
enforced. I mean, it's,
Well, I guess that's, I'm asking
yeah, it's,
the chief.
yeah. I
If we
don't
see
know.
violations, yes. I mean, obviously, we gotta see violations down there. Somebody's gotta call about the violations, but yeah. Yep.
All right. Roll call, please.
Holmstrom,
Yes.
Kabala,
Yes.
Hillebrand,
Yes,
Zemer,
Yes.
Brown,
No,
Sittenga,
Yes,
and Salter.
Yes. Resolution 2524 approved. Next up is resolution 2525, poverty exemption amended.
I'll make a motion to approve the poverty exemption 2025, resolution 2525.
second.
Is there any discussion?
This is based on state numbers.
Yeah, it was, yes, I think the state has a limit and we're still below that. And the amendments came from the county. There was more that, since they had an audit, it needed this policy to be amended additionally from the last time it was amended. So
Okay.
this should be it for
And
till next year.
essentially, Brenda, the strikeouts, I'm assuming.
Yes,
what you're
correct.
talking about. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
All right. There's any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Sittenga,
Yes,
Brown,
Yes,
Holmstrom,
Yes.
Zemer,
Yes.
Hillebrand,
yes,
Caballos,
Yes.
Salter.
Yes. Resolution 2525 is approved. Next is North Mirror Street closure request. White Lake Library.
I will move that we approve the closure of the street, I think it's Slocum Street, next to the Slate House, for the longest table event on September 25th.
I will second that.
And moved in second, is there any discussion?
Other than what I've been to it both years, and I think it's a neat thing to do.
Yes, I've been to it, I think it's a great thing. This year I'm gonna be out of town, so I won't be able to attend, but, I think it's a wonderful thing for people of the community to get together and talk and have food and.
And hats off to the staff at the library for managing it. Thank you, Virginia, so much. Thank you. I'm a yes.
All right.
I have a
All those in
question.
favor?
I have a
Oh, go ahead.
question. It says in our agenda, North Mears Street
Yeah,
closure.
my
It's
bad.
not actually his Slocum Street.
North Slocum.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Runoff from parking lots
That was
under
understood.
fixing it would be expensive.
North Slocum.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're all understanding, okay. Yeah, West Slocum.
West.
West.
I don't know what happened.
Where do we
I got thinking about Mears doesn't run north and south.
Yeah, I
Never
know.
has.
Yours does run north and south.
Here's
Slocum.
I'm
Slocum
sorry,
doesn't.
I'm sorry,
Yep.
okay.
North Mears is right
All right,
where Slocum
so
was.
we're
We're all clear.
voting on the closure of West Slocum. Yes, on September 25th. So all those in favor of the closure say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Opposed say no. Closure is approved. Next up is public comment. Any public comment? No public comment? We're adjourned. Thank you for coming.